It was a day like any other. The sun was shining, birds were singing, children laughed, oblivious to the tragedy about to unfold. But high above, destiny took a terrifying turn. July 17th, 1996 will forever be etched in the annals of history. TWA Flight 800, a Boeing 747 en route from New York to Paris, was ripped from the sky. It happened in a flash, leaving behind a trail of fire and questions that would haunt the world for years to come. The world watched in horror as news of the disaster spread. The Boeing 747, a symbol of modern aviation, stood tall against the backdrop of JFK International Airport. Passengers, a mix of eager tourists and seasoned travellers, made their way through the bustling terminal. Inside the cockpit, Captain Stephen Snyder and First Officer Ralph G. Kevorkian, both highly experienced pilots, ran pre-flight checks. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the tarmac, Flight 800 taxied towards the runway. The stage was set for a tragedy that would forever change the world of aviation. The Boeing 747 climbed gracefully into the evening sky, leaving behind the twinkling lights of New York City. Passengers gazed out of their windows, mesmerized by the beauty of the world below. In the cockpit, Captain Snyder and First Officer Kevorkian kept up a steady stream of communication with air traffic control. Everything seemed routine, normal. What happened next unfolded in a matter of seconds, a terrifying sequence of events that would forever remain etched in the memories of those who witnessed it. The Boeing 747, a marvel of modern engineering, soared through the darkening sky. Inside the cabin, the mood was festive. Captain Snyder, a picture of composure, scanned the instrument panel, his years of experience evident in every movement. First Officer Kevorkian, equally skilled, monitored their trajectory, ensuring a smooth ascent. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. As Flight 800 climbed above the Atlantic, a sense of unease settled over the cockpit. The once routine radio chatter was interrupted by a series of cryptic messages. Captain Snyder, his brow furrowed with concern, ran a series of diagnostic checks. In the cabin, passengers felt a slight jolt, a subtle shift in the aircraft's momentum. But time, it seemed, was running out. A deafening roar tore through the cabin, shattering the illusion of normalcy. Oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling, dangling like grotesque party favors. Panic erupted as passengers, their faces contorted in fear, struggled to secure their masks. In the cockpit, chaos reigned. Captain Snyder, his voice strained but steady, issued a desperate mayday call, his words lost in the static of a dying radio. The plane, now a wounded beast, bucked and shuddered, its fate sealed. The world tilted. Passengers, strapped into their seats, were thrown against their restraints. Screams filled the cabin, a chorus of terror against the roar of wind and the grinding of metal. In the cockpit, Captain Snyder and First Officer Kevorkian fought valiantly against forces beyond their control. They knew the grim reality. This was a battle they couldn't win. As the Boeing 747 continued its uncontrolled descent, a flight attendant, her voice trembling but firm, fought to be heard above the cacophony. Panic, a contagious disease, spread through the cabin, yet amidst the chaos acts of courage and selflessness flickered. A young couple, their honeymoon cut tragically short, exchanged a look of love and acceptance, their fingers intertwined. Up in the cockpit, Captain Snyder, his voice raspy but resolute, made one final attempt to regain control. But hope, like the altitude, was rapidly dwindling. The ocean, once a distant shimmer, now loomed large, its surface transformed into a monstrous maw eager to swallow them whole. Inside the doomed aircraft, the air grew thick with the weight of unspoken goodbyes. Some passengers, their faces pale and drawn, clutched rosaries, their lips moving in silent prayer. A hush fell over the cabin, broken only by the relentless roar of the wind and the creaking of the dying aircraft. In those final heart-wrenching moments, the fragility of life was laid bare. The Boeing 747, its broken body a testament to the unforgiving nature of gravity, slammed into the Atlantic Ocean with the force of a bomb. The impact, a deafening roar of metal against water, sent shockwaves rippling across the surface, marking the final resting place of TWA Flight 800. The once majestic aircraft, now a mangled wreck, disappeared beneath the waves, leaving behind only a churning maelstrom and a slick of debris. The world watched in horror as news of the tragedy spread. The loss of TWA Flight 800 sent shockwaves across the globe, a stark reminder of the capricious nature of fate. The once serene expanse of the Atlantic Ocean, now a graveyard of shattered dreams, churned with the debris of TWA Flight 800. Pieces of the once mighty Boeing 747, twisted and broken, bobbed amidst a slick of jet fuel, a grim testament to the unforgiving power of the crash. Rescue boats, their lights cutting through the gathering darkness, raced towards the crash site, their crews bracing themselves for the grim task ahead. The surface of the water was littered with personal belongings, suitcases, books, photographs, poignant reminders of the lives cut short. As the night wore on and the debris field yielded only more heartbreak, the grim reality settled in. This was a rescue mission that was quickly transforming into a recovery operation. Time, a precious commodity, became the enemy as the hours after the crash ticked by. Every passing minute decreased the likelihood of finding survivors. The Coast Guard coordinated a massive search and rescue operation, a desperate race against time. Helicopters scoured the area from above, their powerful searchlights illuminating the debris field. Divers braved the depths, their hearts sinking with each passing moment. The world watched and waited, their collective breath held hostage to hope. Amidst heartbreak and despair, stories of courage and compassion emerged, offering a flicker of light in the darkness. Fishermen became unlikely heroes, their nets transformed into makeshift rescue devices, handling the dead with reverence and care. As dawn broke over the crash site, the grim reality settled in. The world mourned, united in grief, their collective heart aching for the lives lost. The Atlantic, once a silent witness to the tragedy, now reluctantly yielded its secrets. Salvage crews working tirelessly amidst the wreckage recovered pieces of the shattered Boeing 747, each fragment a vital clue in the quest to understand the cause of the crash. The debris, painstakingly catalogued and transported to a secure hangar, formed a macabre jigsaw puzzle, a three-dimensional representation of the aircraft's final moments. Investigators, their faces etched with determination, swarmed over the wreckage, their trained eyes searching for any anomaly, any sign that might explain the sudden and catastrophic demise of TWA Flight 800. The hangar, usually a place of industry and hope, was transformed into a somber laboratory, the air thick with the smell of jet fuel and the weight of expectation. Every bolt, every wire, every piece of twisted metal held the potential to unlock the secrets of the crash. The black boxes, those silent guardians of flight data, were recovered early in the investigation, their orange casing a beacon of hope amidst the wreckage. The data recorders, once deciphered, would provide a chilling audio and visual account of the flight's final moments, offering investigators a glimpse into the cockpit as disaster struck. The information gleaned from these devices, along with the physical evidence recovered from the crash site, would form the cornerstone of the investigation, guiding the search for answers. As the investigation into the crash of TWA Flight 800 intensified, a flurry of theories emerged, each attempting to explain the seemingly inexplicable. The media, hungry for answers and fueled by the public's insatiable appetite for information, seized upon each new development, each expert opinion, weaving a complex narrative of speculation and conjecture. Theories ranged from the plausible to the outlandish, each adding another layer of complexity to an already bewildering tragedy. Some experts pointed to the possibility of a mechanical failure, a catastrophic malfunction in the aging Boeing 747's complex systems. Others, citing the aircraft's history of minor maintenance issues, suggested that negligence, a failure to address potential problems, had contributed to the disaster. The possibility of a terrorist attack, a chilling echo of the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland, loomed large in the public consciousness, fueling fears and suspicions. The FBI, their involvement a testament to the gravity of the situation, launched a parallel investigation, their agents interviewing witnesses, combing through passenger manifests and chasing down every lead, no matter how improbable. The spectre of terrorism, a dark cloud hanging over the investigation, added a layer of urgency to the search for answers. The world watched and waited, desperate for an explanation, a reason for the senseless loss of so many innocent lives. After years of investigation, the NTSB announced its findings. Their report was a comprehensive analysis of the evidence. The official verdict provided some closure, but did little to ease the pain. The NTSB concluded the crash was caused by an explosion in the center fuel tank. A spark, likely from a short circuit, ignited fuel vapors. The explosion destroyed the aircraft's structural integrity. The investigation highlighted the dangers of aging aircraft and the need for rigorous maintenance. The report's recommendations led to significant changes in aviation safety regulations. The crash of TWA Flight 800, a tragedy etched in aviation history, reminds us of life's fragility and the human spirit's endurance. The shattered aircraft and grief-stricken families are forever in our memory. 230 lives lost, leaving an unfillable void. The world mourned, strangers united in grief. Memorials offered solace and remembrance. Victims' names became a testament to the tragedy. The crash was a watershed moment for aviation, highlighting the need for safety. The investigation into the crash of TWA Flight 800, a meticulous and exhaustive undertaking, revealed a series of shortcomings in aviation safety protocols and highlighted the need for significant improvements. The NTSB, in its final report, issued a comprehensive list of recommendations aimed at preventing similar tragedies from occurring in the future. These recommendations, a blueprint for change, addressed a wide range of issues from aircraft design and maintenance to fuel tank safety and security procedures. One of the most significant outcomes of the investigation was the implementation of new regulations governing the design and maintenance of aircraft fuel tanks. The NTSB, recognizing the vulnerability of fuel tanks to explosions, called for the installation of nitrogen inerting systems, which reduce the risk of explosions by replacing flammable fuel vapors with inert nitrogen gas. These systems, now mandatory on all newly manufactured commercial aircraft, have significantly improved the safety of air travel. The tragedy of TWA Flight 800 also led to improvements in airport security measures. The possibility of a terrorist attack, while ultimately ruled out by investigators, heightened awareness of the need for enhanced security protocols at airports worldwide. The Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, created in the wake of the September 11th attacks, incorporated many of the lessons learned from the TWA Flight 800 investigation into its security procedures, further enhancing the safety of air travel. The crash of TWA Flight 800 revealed the inherent goodness and resilience of the human spirit. Acts of courage, compassion, and selflessness emerged, offering hope amidst the darkness. First responders worked tirelessly to recover victims and console grieving families. Volunteers from around the world offered support and assistance. Families found strength in each other, forming support groups and lobbying for aviation safety. Their dedication to honoring loved ones and improving aviation safety serves as an inspiration.